Yeah, we can come and say thank you so much. Good evening. Hey, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I want to take this opportunity to welcome all of us to the Wisdom Class 2022. Have you welcomed your neighbor? Have you welcome Wisdom Class 2022? Yes, this is a very special forum, a forum that seeks to grow you in your business. You know, you are the face of your business. So when you grow, your business grows. Okay? So your business can never grow without you. And many people who, anytime your business outgrows you, it's very easy for that business to collapse. Because you are the engine. Every business drives on a certain spirit. And that spirit is the spirit that is in the owner of the business. That is where you find great businessmen. After they die, their business died. Not because there are no people to succeed that man, but because the people on whose hand the business was left didn't have the spirit of the man. Hello? So as you seek to grow your business, you must also develop yourself. We usually say that there is no business, if the business outgrows you, that business is out of your hands. You can't control it. You are not in charge. That is why some people employ people and they corrupt the business. When you employ someone and you are hands off, so that person is literally running the business. You have disconnected yourself. You see, you must not run, that's why businesses actually get CEOs. But there must be the chairman. Who is the spirit? The man is still there. Yes. He might not do much, but he has no one give up the vision. And he has the knowledge, has the brains, but the spirit of the business is with that old man. Are you there? So you must, because most of us are beginning, there's something we are building. Make sure that your business, the foundation of your business is founded on a strong foundation. That even after you leave the stage, the business will still run. Our work when we are alive is to keep multiplying ourselves, is to keep depositing something in the inside of the people that we want to succeed our businesses. Okay? So you are not just setting a business for today. I want you to know that whatever you are doing today is for generations. So you must get your mind off possibly thinking subsistence business. Don't become a hit and run businessman. Wewe tu unafanya ya leo, kesho nyingine, okay? You think transgenerational. That what the Bible says in Proverbs 30:22, that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That your children will come and say that we are basically building on what our father planned, on what our grandmother. Okay? Ukuwa mshosho mwenye watoto wake wanasema hii biashara ni shosho alianza. By the way tunasikianga tu kukaa. Kwani washosho kwani waanzaje kitu? This generation should change things. Amen. Hello? Room. Kwanza biashara. Walikuwa wanafinyiliwa. Sasa lazima washosho sasa nyinyi actually hata nyinyi sasa mjikakamue. We want to build a foundation room that when your grandchildren come, they will say, this is our pride. This is what our grandmother left us. Amen. Kama Timothy. Imagine, shosho ya Timothy ana impact pay. Imagine hata kama hutaacha vitu mingi, acha imani. Acha imani. Hello? So I'm so encouraged, and today, I like the way politicians observe protocol. Politicians understand laws and protocol. MP hawezi kakaenda kuongea baba, you see, lazima ape baba na nini heshima, si ndio? Hata akiongea anasemaga baba. Baba anaambia hata mambo hakusema. Ati baba alisema na ni uongo. Ni yeye anataka kusema kitu yake, lakini lazima alivae to baba. So I don't want to say something before my mentor speaks. You see, when I met Apostle Ken, I know some of us call him pastor, but the apostolic mandate that he has. Yeah, akikuja Nairobi, sisi ndio tunajuaga kile tunasikiana. Hello? Last time he came, it's good I give them a summary. Last time he came, we had a business breakfast, a kingdom empowerment breakfast on November. And the fire that was left is still burning. We have people who have accessed the marketplace, people who have penetrated the marketplace out of that meeting. The impartation was powerful. I have like 5 people currently who are in the media out of that meeting. So never ignore a meeting. You never know. You better go to a meeting and find out that you never needed to go to that meeting. Where Daudi realized rather than not go to that meeting and realize that all that you needed was in that meeting. Are you together? You better go to a meeting and find out that you never needed to be there. Rather than not go. And possibly that is all that your business needed. The devil thrives with 2 sets of wings. One is the wing of ignorance. The other one is the wing of fear. Okay? If the enemy cannot fight you with fear, he comes with ignorance. That is why God is saying outright that my people perish for lack of knowledge. He accepts you are his. Nasema wewe ni shida lakini shida yako. Wewe ni wake, anasema yani he is not disowning you. He is saying that yes, it's true, you are mine, but you can perish out of ignorance. And any challenge that is rooted on ignorance cannot be solved by prayer.
It's true.
And we usually say that hope is not a strategy. You cannot sit there hoping that things will be okay. If it is rooted on ignorance, the only antidote of ignorance is information. If you can know more, you can do more. Okay? And that is why we usually encourage, when you get this invitation, invite another friend. You never know. Kama huyo mtu atasema, I'll forever be grateful for Naomi. Naomi hata hii bikuni iliandikwa na ikawa hadharani. When you invited me for a quick in town, when I met up, hizo ulipewa boka points. Ukienda unaenda ulize Elder Noah mahali fire yako. Fire yako iwekwa na Elder Noah kwa sababu yeye anawekanga vile vitabu za kitanda. Ulize fire yako iko wapi? Kwa sababu kuna boka points nataka kulidini. Kuna jamaa nilipeleka mahali. And let me tell you, that is even how I was even inspired to write a book. I was inspired because of that. Nitume sadaka. Tuma till number. I will forever be grateful. Let me tell you, there are people that God brings to your life for a divine cause. It takes a man to get the best out of another man. God uses men. We are out of the era where you used to tell God, kuja na usitumani. Mungu lazima atumani. Are you there? So when you sit under mentorship, and I want you to kindly, let me tell you, just take this. Okay? Just take this serious. This year, be determined to follow the wisdom class. And maybe you have tried so many other things. Are you there? Hebu jaribu kufuatilia wisdom class, uone kama kuna kitu itabadilika katika maisha yako. only comes by hearing and by hearing. Not just once. Hearing and hearing. You keep hearing something until you get transformed. There are things that doesn't change us when we hear them for the first time. But when they are repeated, it sticks into your mind. It becomes a principle that guides your life. Okay? And I learned God because of people like James. James alianza kukuja wakati wa kambi, si ni kweli? By the way, he had not even started men's. Had he?
No.
He had not started his own company. Right now, he has employed more than 7 people. Na kosabi kukuja. Huyu anachoma mafuta anakuja. Wewe ni mguu. Na bado unatusubua. Lazima tutume message reminders kama tano ili ukue convinced. You are supposed to be that meeting. Hello? Always make sure that make this part of your program. Are you together? Yeah. And see whether your life will not change. If your life will not change, at the end of the year, ukuje nikurudishie fare ile yote ulitumia the whole of that year. Is that a deal? If it changes, tithe na sadaka. Is that a deal? Anyway, we want to receive Apostle Ken to come and take us through. Then I'll be getting back to come and do a conclusion. Apostle Ken, come and speak it as you feel it. This is
Thank you very much, Joe, for those wonderful remarks. It makes me feel intimidated. Let me get straight into the message and much more the talk. And I've been doing a research, began this research. Some of us, I preach, the message I preach like today, I've been reading it for almost 3, 5, 6 months, sometimes 1 year. Back in Naiva, then you say, now it's time to deliver it. Now, I begin the 3 M's that are very important to creating wealth. Let me just begin with those 3 M's. Then I basically today want to talk, we want to do storytelling, okay? Today I want to do a case study, if we will. But let me begin with 3 M's that are very, very important. The first M is to make money. The first M is make. The second M is the word manage. So when you make money, the next stage of wealth is to manage the money. So you make the money and then you must have the skill of managing. And then number 3 is to multiply. So there are people who are just managing, but there are those who are multiplying. That's also the third level of wealth. And that's what Safaricom are involved. People like Equity Bank are multiplying and they're creating new products. And that's the challenge that I want to give us tonight. Now allow me to lectures. Unfortunately, Kenyans, and even this yesterday I was announcing the church, we don't know how to celebrate our own. That is why I'm the only Harambee fan player. I'm the only one who supports Harambee stars because I believe in our own. I'm not an Arsenal Chelsea. You only get me in Harambee down. And because I love my own and I love our own. And so we already have business mubus and models in this country that we have not celebrated. Now, and this is called the RWATHIA 5. Okay? And maybe some of you even have maybe come from there, have more information than I do, but I want to celebrate these 5 gentlemen that define the history of wealth creation in this country, and we need to write books about them. Now these guys began their journey from poverty in the 1930s. They began their journey in Muranga, Kangema in the 1930s, and they had a dream of making their life better, and they struggled. And some of their stories are very sad. They worked as laborers and literally struggled from very major during the colonial period. They struggled and they've been through a lot of tragedy to make themselves who they are. Now, 3 of them that are well documented. One is called Gerald Gikonyo, and he's the only living one. Gerald Gikonyo is the only living among the first RWATHIA 5 that is alive today. And then we have the late Garrison Kirima, who of course also we all remember his story, billionaires in their own right. And then we have, you've already quoted him, though he's slightly younger, but his name is Peter Munda, who is also the founder of Equity. He's the chairman of Equity Bank. And so those are the 3 that are documented, but there were initially 5. But then there is the other group, and success must multiply. in the sense that, I like that you're saying your grandmother must influence the next generation. So another group that followed this group, that it's called the trickle-down effect of wealth. The blessing that follows the original 5 is one James Mwangi, Equity current CEO, James Mwangi. Okay, and then another one is Jim Nambaru, the investment banker or broker, if you will, Jim Nambaru. And the other one is this Britam owner, Benson Wairegi. Benson Wairegi, the ones who runs British Insurance Company and the subsidiaries. And of course the late Chris Kirubi, just to name a few. And the list is unending. But there's this man, Chris Kirubi, who was also all of these guys. It is so coincidental that they all come from RWATHIA, Kangema, and they're just village mates. From poverty to becoming some of the richest men across the earth, and particularly in Africa. It is said that this village controls 20% of Kenya's GDP. This tiny village that is not even in the map controls 20% of Kenya's GDP. And they also say they control 40% of our stock exchange. Meaning, if RWATHIA removes their money from our stock exchange, it crashes. That's how serious these guys we need to pay attention to. If we need to do some homage, we need to do some pilgrimage, then we go to Jerusalem just to study this environment. So I want to begin, and I have about 8 primary issues I want to deal with, because I've been studying them and trying to research them. The first thing, everything begins with a dream. And the first element of wealth creation is a dream. They all began with a dream. And that dream is what pushed them to leave their limitation. And I want to challenge each one of us here. Your dream is valid. It is a speech that one of our Kenyan owned lady, as she won, was it a Grammy award? Lupita Nyong'o. She said every dream is valid. And I want to emphasize this morning, this evening, even your dream is valid. You are dreaming of building your own high-rise. You're dreaming of buying your own vehicle. You're dreaming of having your own house. Whatever is the dream you have, I want to begin by declaring it is valid. Because it worked for these men. Each one of them, their story begins with a dream. I want to live in Matamu. Niende nikaishi maisha kama Muhindi, kama Mzungu. But because remember their sight was limited, their education was limited. So you are well advantaged because you have knowledge of books, you have internet, your phone can Google. But these guys, all they had was a simple dream. That they, do you know if you cross the road from Kencom House, all this way you cross the road, all of those properties belong to Muranga and a few Indians. I'm serious about that. And it all began by a dream. The Tomboyas, the Ronalgara, the River Road, all of those dreams. All the hotels you see there, Eureka, in Mabolaka. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. The famous Magumano, Jogoine. All of those hotels belong to Muranga. And it all began with a dream. And I'll tell you, their story is so sad that some of them, like this Gerald Gikonyo, would wake up in the morning and carry loads of, you go to a Kulima market, what is called, those days was called Marikiti, and buy tomatoes, and you had to choose the quality ones to take to Indians in Papas, and you carry them. It will even be raining, and he must be there before 11, otherwise he will not sell them. And he's doing that on foot. And that is how he began making his money, because he had a dream that one day he's going to become who is who in this country. They were selling charcoal, they were selling water back, those are things that most people in this generation does not know. But they were literally harvesting, and it's just a thing that you harvest on trees and would sell them. Interesting things, but they had a dream. And that's the first thing that each one of us have. You must have a dream. The second thing, they were ready to begin small. They were ready to begin small. They say a tree never bends for you to climb it. A tree never bends for you to climb it. And they also say, climbing a tree, you must begin from bottom up. Higher.
encouraging someone.
The thing I want to emphasize is that one of the greatest challenges we have with our generation, we want to begin there, but you need to understand greatness always begins downwards, going up. And I encourage you, no matter how low you have to start, please, your dream is valid. But you must begin down and build yourself one level to another. The third thing that is interesting about these guys, they were all not educated. But they took time to develop themselves. Some even employ professionals as they continue growing in wealth. And that is why I want to emphasize to you, it doesn't matter the grades you may have gotten in your past. It doesn't matter your performance in school. If you have a dream, you can still change your life for the glory of God. Because kuna watu wanasema, mimi sikufika form 4, mimi sikumaliza vizuri. It doesn't matter. We have models of men and women who succeeded without education. But the key word is they developed. And you've said it very clearly, Pastor Joe here, that Hosea, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Do you know Gerald Gikonyo employed Peter Munga to manage his properties? Because he had a bit of accounting. And that's what I want to challenge us. Do not allow your history, your background, your lack of, like I know law. I mean, I argue with lawyers. I mean, not that I'm a lawyer, but I'm not ignorant of law. I can see the politician and I'll tell him what the Constitution says. Hallelujah. When BBA or whatever Katiba, I read it. Because I have to be informed. And I keep telling myself, there will be a day we'll be consulting for governors. Some of you are going to be sitting with the MCAs and the governors. Who tells us to no, I'm not that pastor. No. We are not prayer bunks. We will be sitting to discuss policies of how to make Nakuru a better a city. And to do that, you must have what? Better brains. And that's why we must develop yourself. You know, and one of the things that they learned, and I like the way he said, every time you go to sell wares to the Mwindi, he would observe how they are working. He would observe their work ethics, their discipline with the time. I mean, those are the things that he inculcated himself, that when the day came for him to run his business, he had already learned principles that work and what doesn't work. So wherever you are, some of you may be in a very small environment, you are learning, it's a learning curve that you will use in the future. Usidharau. Do not look down upon it. Gikonyo was so successful that he's among the 4 people in this country who have been given the key of Nairobi. And when you're given the key of a city, you know what that means? You don't pay rents for your property. You don't pay parking. Yes. You literally can tell a watchman where a car to escort you anywhere you have to go. You don't have to obey traffic laws because you are like a president of some sort. And only the other three, number 1 is Jakaya Kikwete, who was given the key to Nairobi. The second one was the late Cardinal Morris Otunga. And the third one is also the late Laureate. What's her name? Wangari Maathai. And Kidero now gave this Mzee, he is the last remaining RWATHIA 5, Gerald Gikonyo, the key to Nairobi. And he can access the city anywhere, anytime. And without education, without a lot of flamboyancy, if I say he wears a suit and a hanging shirt. I mean, the guy, but it's all about the money he carries. Not his weight, that it has nothing to do with his clothes. Some of us have weight and go, but this man has weight of money. And that's what we need to work on. And I bless the Lord. Number 4, and this is an element that has diluted and has not been in us, is called trust. Trust. This principle in RWATHIA that worked for them, that we need to model, is simply the principle of trust. Now, can I surprise you? When these young men would be paid profit in the evening, okay? So they will keep the money between Monday and Friday, because they are working Monday to Friday. On Friday, see, we are the 5 of us, they will say, Pastor Simon, this is our profit. We remain with stock. Because there was no bank that time that was taking Africans' money. Africans are not allowed to have an account. So the money is not stolen. Hezron, Joe, myself, Catherine, we would all give our money to Simon, the prophet. And Simon would now walk to RWATHIA and look and give wazes to hold their money in trust. And every week they kept doing that. And each one, you know, we give Simon today, Simon now will go to Dondori. Are we together? Or when you give the wazes, they do their own thing. But every week they were sending money little by little. And you know it's mega. You know you're selling potatoes. It's not much money. But do you understand that money is what eventually provided them with the capital to start investing in property. Because when Idi Amin was harassing, okay, before Idi Amin, but when the British started destabilizing issues during the Mau Mau upheaval and things were not going right, some Indians went to England. And what did they do? They started selling their shop. The 5 of them would raise money to buy 1 kiosk. Oh goodness. The other 4, and because I have better English, I am more educated, they would leave you with the stock. And the other 4 would continue selling the tomatoes and oranges. And every week they continue selling the money. That they influence the Mwangis and the Kirubis also to join them. Oh goodness. That's a story that I mean we need to discuss this issue. Somebody say trust. If we can be able to, what is making the Somalis ahead of us? It's trust. They are ahead because of a very simple principle. It's called what? Trust. You know, I don't know where my brother goes, but we have done this many times. You go Kenya, is going to Dubai. Every Kenyan, like 10 Kenyans, all of them from Nakuru, born again, some even in the same church. They cannot trust send one person. Everybody must buy their own air ticket. Everybody must pay their own accommodation. And they all sell clothes of the same wear. But Somalis trust one man. Even their banking system, you go to Garissa Road, not everybody takes the money. Unataka kulipa na pesa, there's a certain shop.
Yes.
I don't think anybody has gone there. They don't, not everybody, and they trust each other. Wewe mwambie tu ni azubegi, duka namba A5. Are we together? Because they have trust. Lakini wewe lazima ukuwe na pesa namba yako, tili yako, unalipishwa withdrawal charges. Do you know there is a guy who collects money weekly and banks in his own individual account for tax purposes and many things. There's a lot of other things that we can reveal here about what happens in his city. Well, but there's only one man who pays. And we all use the same license. May the Lord give us wisdom. The keyword is trust. And if we don't develop trust, and I pray that we will now become men of integrity in this new season. If we are going to enter wealth as believers, because that's a mandate we have in the marketplace, we must operate with trust. Oh goodness. Then number 5. The success must help others. Our success must trickle to the next generation. We do not succeed alone. We must refuse to enter a place of largeness alone. And that's a weakness we have. Because these guys, when the Wazir saw what these young men were doing, they would tell the others, go with them, join them, because success must trickle down to other people. Number 6, all of them were very, and I'm going to use this word very, they were very religious. They had a fear and respect for God, if you will. Each one of them had a fear and respect for God. Any one of them was very prayerful, and they recognized, and how many of you understand, there's only thing that only God can do that they could enter covenant. Because these are men who entered covenant with each other. And they did not even know much Bible reading, they don't have much knowledge of Christ as we do. But these guys had a lot of respect and honor for God. And how many of you know God? There's something we teach, and it's in my book, it's called the God Factor. That thing, you tap it, God honors you, and He multiplies. Remember the 3 lepers when they were walking? God magnified their steps. And all of these men were very right. They were seeking to do things that are right. And that is why people like Mwan, every year, every time you do your class 8, you do Form 4, he educates thousands of people. Is that not true? It's the same spirit. Kirubi, all of these guys are philanthropic. So every time unapata, usikule tu peke yako. There has to be an element of releasing. To say amen. These guys believed in prayer, and I appreciate that aspect. Now, number 7, and this is a very key issue, saving. I notice a very powerful element about them is the issue of saving and pulling resources together. They saved and they pulled resources together. And Gikonyo quotes this famous saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And that principle was inculcated in them. If you want to go far, go fast. I mean, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And what did they do? They saved. They worked on saving. If there is a generation that we need to be taught again, it is us. Because we are very quick at spending. How many of you know that? Every man, let me challenge you. Every man, you must trust God to at least have side somewhere. At least talk about 100,000. Every one of us, let me put that way. You must, because every time you receive 10,000, you give 1,000 tithe. Put 1,000 somewhere. At least very small. How many of you understand that? Put it somewhere. And don't have a card there. Don't have an ATM that will be tempted. Forget it. But you must. Can I tell you something? If you get 10 shillings and you save 5 cents. Let's do 50 cents. No, 50 is too much. Just 5 cents. How many of you know the day you get $1 million, you use 250,000? Let me repeat that example again. If every time you get 100 shillings, let me use 100 shillings, you waste 10 shillings. Please hear me out. Every time you get 100 shillings, you waste 10 shillings. The day you get $1 million, you lose 250,000. So learn to save the 10 shillings. The day you get the $1 million, you keep the $1 million. I stopped chewing. You know, we did our statistics in here. There's a certain chewing gum I used to buy, and that chewing gum cost, was it 120 shillings. Simple money, but it's nothing. But you buy about an average of 2 per week. That's 240 times 4. That is how much? We counted it is about almost 13,000, 14,000 that can do something. Pay fees. Chewing gum. If you think a bit critically, you're literally wasting your time in your teeth, you're having a lot of problems. I've had to do away with all those extra things. Are we able to say each other? I'm just challenging us to have the art of saving. And I pray that God will give you ways, because these guys put their money together. Let me just give you another story. In the story, this one popped up as I'm just doing my research. There's like a lady by the name of Lucy Wangari Mushiri. Lucy Wangari Mushiri. And for the title of the story is From a Vendor, that's what attracted my attention, to building an 80 million hotel. And so I had to study, I had to read that one. The title of the story is From a Vendor to Building an 80 million hotel. Now her story is also very interesting. Lucy Wangari dropped out of secondary school in Lari. Remember, we are talking about Kenyan models, okay? She was a student. She dropped out, I think, from 2 in Lari in 1983. Because her uncle, the renowned Ngugi wa Thiong'o, had been exiled by the Moi government. So they disappeared to Uganda, Tanzania, to go to exile in America. So Lucy Wangari was left in Lari with her fees balance until the school kicked her out. So at the age of 15, she had no otherwise but to live on. And so she found this guy from Rift Valley who they kind of fell in love. And she got married at the age of 15 and eventually gave birth to 4 children. And so they eventually went to Cherangani, which is in Trans Nzoia County. And it was not exactly a very rosy marriage. She was married a young a young girl, so there's a lot of beating, a lot of abuse, a lot of issues, and poverty, and etc. Drunkardness, but eventually the husband died. And when the husband died, typical of this traditional families, they ignore the wives, and they kind of, you know, they don't want this trouble. So the lady's story goes from bad to worse. She began hustling, but she also faced post-election violence. As you all know, we know her history. But because she loved cooking, the only thing she knew anyway, that she had known how to do is to cook for the husband. So she had developed the art, just cooking. So she decided to just cook. And so she got small, they call them gigs. So if somebody has a birthday, they call her, they give her miambili, you know, she washes clothes, but her main passion was cooking. So one time, she was in this particular church. The pastor asked her for people who can cook, and she said, "Pastor, I'll take care." And she volunteered and hosted the pastor's guests. And the pastor gave her a thanks of, you know, paid her 800 shillings, which was a lot of money way back in the early, you know, late 90s. And she was so excited, she had never been paid that kind of money. But she took that as seed capital, and she invested in a frying pan, a chapati pan, and a hard sufuria. And there she began making githeri, beans, and chapati. And she would sell githeri for 5 shillings. No, githeri was 5 shillings, chapati was 10, and tea was 10. And she began earning her money. And of course, she would go to the Italy Park with her wares and open up and sell. And who does she attract? Of course, Mujio Kajo, Auto Health, Mascari. So she faced a lot of those abuses, but she held on because there was nothing she could do besides cooking. But do you know what? She began saving, and it's a principle again that we will learn from the Somali people. Charge less, but sell many. She began saving 600 shillings a day. Do you know that's a lot of money? From cooking githeri, chapati, chai. 600 shillings a day. In 1 year, I think a half, she had saved 200,000 shillings that she rented, and she opened a hotel near the bus stop called Mama Joguna in Kitale, Cherangani. It's in Kitale County. And now she started selling the chapati 20 bob, the githeri still remained at 10, and tea was 20. Remember, the bait is, the githeri is the motivation, but the profit is in the tea and the chapati. You see the catch? Because unakuja kuna githeri, lakini unasema acha niongezee chapati. You know, and so the lady, within a while, had saved 1 million shillings. She bought an empty piece of land slightly outside the town and continued working. Eventually, she opened an Yamachoma joint near the bus stop now. Watu wakipitia na mabasi you know, watu Kitale wanaendanga wakienda inaitwa huko ndani hapa Kitale, is it Lodwar or whatever? There's a Kapeguya. So people stop there, and so she started doing. She is actually currently has employed 40 employees under her arm in the chapati and the Nyamachoma business. Eventually, she had settled and raised 3 million shillings, which she partnered with the bank, and the bank told her, "Tutakusaidia, but you keep these 2 shops, and we'll help you build the 80 million hotel that's now almost in their 3rd floor." Talk about a dream. Principle of saving. Talk about working. I mean, are you seeing all these elements playing in place? She's now on the 3rd floor working on, but in fact, when I visit Kitale, I have to find, she's still calling it Mama Juguna's Hotel. I have to visit that hotel. Because these are just true stories, no drama. Let's go back to Rwanda. So these guys, and I want to teach the church, and I want to say this very black and white. What has killed us from not owning property? And I will give very simple example. If I want to be, right now, the other day we were being told of a house up at Jomo Kenyatta worth, was it 2.7 million? Before your bargain. Okay, I don't have that. But so what these guys will do, when an Indian wants to sell, you know, and they would buy a shop, they would bring 30 people, you know, it's very cumbersome. This Kinagikonyo would look for where they are kumi. You know, those days a house was going for 110,000. You understand? So they would bring 10 people, 30 people, and they would buy the shop. And then they'll tell Hezron, you manage it. And then every end of the month, your books are okay. You know, the issue of trust. So if we do a shop, a retail, your work is to, and then we pay you over and above your shares. At the end of 12 months, because every month we would sit again and you would give us a statement of account because of trust. How would we be? And after 1 year, we said, do we need this money? We said, no, let's buy a second shop. So in 1, 2, 3 years, these guys were owning shares. So when they sit down, their dividend is in millions. But it all began in a very cumbersome, you know, if these young men, seriously, can just decide to form a group, 10, 20 of them, every month, just put in 10,000, 5,000, in 1 year, they will approach a bank and buy a property, because that property is bringing rent of 42,000 as per now. And if you buy that property, you simply call something called value addition. There's another word you call in business, scaling up, putting tiles, because those are just changing. So what is being paid 3,000 will be paid 5,000. Meaning you cannot begin talking of rent of 70,000. How many of you know become millionaires? The dream house you want, the dream car you want. There's a place we reach when we call for an offering. We have a problem. We need to banks. You know, banks will have to open accounts. They are because we have too much money to bank. Are we together? But this is what these guys did. They had a dream and they used the elements that we need to use. And I challenge young men to do this. Now, the eighth thing, they face many challenging circumstances. In fact, after 1950, when the Mau Mau uprising was hot, as we are going towards election, they call it the Mau Mau insurgency. The British destroyed their shops on River Road. The few things that they had already gathered, they literally burned them down. And these guys were reduced to paupers, and they were all arrested and taken to concentration camps, as you all know our history, and I don't need to remind you. But I want to quote what Kikonyo says. But eventually independence came. He says, we returned and decided to re-enter the city. And guess what? Now they're older. They still went back to the same thing. They had been in camps for 3-4 years. Everything was lost. They had no money, no service, nothing. They went back carrying the same gunias of tomato to sell to the Wazungus in the name of rebuilding themselves. I call that, what do you call that? What can you call that? How many of you have died just because of a bank letter or a letter from an auctioneer and you think that's the end of life? Many of us have given up because of small things. But these guys, you have built property, you are earning money, and you have been taken to 4 years confined, and some of them were even arrested and being embarrassed and whatever. But the bottom line is they came out and did the same thing. And now they told themselves, not only are we going to buy in River Road, we are also going to own in Pangani. We are going to own in other parts of the city. Their vision, their dream was taken and not high. That's how you hit the devil. When he tries to tell you cannot reach here, now you look here. I like that spirit of them. And I pray that God will give us grace. And number 9, I want to bring you together, is the word multiply. We must learn the art of multiplication, and that's why the Somalis have been beating the church. Politicians are very smart. We must now begin to know the art of multiplication. If it is working, we must multiply it. Somebody say amen. If it is working, we must do it. Tell me, my brother, if you bring this, we can get more. Don't eat alone. Let's multiply our energy. Now, I want to now quote, and I just give you 5, and then Pastor Joe, you have about 10 minutes just to crown it. Is that okay? I'm going to quote Elon Musk. He's now currently the richest man in the world. I'm going to quote him. There are 5 primary points. By the way, Elon Musk is a South African. I know people think he's an American. No, his father and mother originally from South Africa. They divorced, and the mother went first to Canada, and then the young man eventually followed. The father abused him. It's a long story, and you can find out, but he eventually got educated. And he says this, number 1, don't chase money, solve problems. First principle of Elon Musk is don't chase money, solve a problem. Money responds to problems. Don't chase money, solve a problem. In other words, there is a solution that you have, that you bring, that will solve a problem. And that solving problem is what will attract wealth to you. I pray that you will have clarity on that. Number 2, adapt a great work ethic. Adapt a great work ethic. This guy, he does 40, 60-hour work sheets. Kenyans, we open our businesses late, we close them early, we are very consistent. I challenge as my brother, my sister, and that's why my sister, we don't, that's not our standard, but I challenge us, we must have a good, strong work ethic. We must be very strong. Then he says, number 3, invest in emerging industries. Invest in emerging industries. You must begin to visualize what is coming through. Right now there's a rush for property. There's a rush for, there are a lot of industries in this country, and I don't need to, you know what is cooking and what is going to bring wealth. Number 4, and I like this one. Hire slow, fire fast. Hire slow, but fire fast. Kenyans, we endure nonsense. Hire slow, but fire fast. If someone is smelling, they are not going with you, please, quickly. That's Herod's way of working. He does not entertain anyone who cannot produce. Number 5, this is something that I have to keep learning. Have an exit plan. There are things that are dead that need to be buried, and you're hanging on them. There are things that you need to adjust and plan afresh. Don't wait until the thing has died for you to wait to come out. You must learn to know when to exit. So I challenge us tonight that our cry, and we are trying to, there are people we want to bring different business people to speak to us in this wisdom class, locally and internationally. When I say internationally, I mean Nairobi, you know. But the idea is that my cry and our mandate is that God, we want to empower the church financially. That's our cry, that's our desire, that God will give us resources. We want to sharpen people to walk in higher finances in this city for the glory of God. Come on, let's put our hands together as Pastor Joe comes to come.
Just tell God something about what you want to do. Yes. Just tell God something about what you are doing, what you want to do. There are some people who want to get to the next level. There are people who want to step out and they are fearing. Why can't you just tell God, guide me, O God, guide my steps? The Bible says that the steps of a righteous man are ordered of the Lord. Tell the Lord, guide me. This is our last meeting. This is our class 2022. Tell the Lord, 2022, guide me in the marketplace. May I thrive. May I thrive in the marketplace 2022. May opportunities, may doors open up for me in 2022. Yes, in the name of Jesus. Father, we thank you. We declare, Lord, that in this meeting, we will have millionaires and multimillionaires. Oh, great destinies are molded in this place. We thank you for the new thing that you are doing in Nakuru City and outside this city, Lord. Thank you for the transition. Thank you for the transformation in this people's life, oh God, in our life. We thank you. We thank you, Lord. We bless you. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you. We bless you because you are faithful. I commend this dear ones, oh God, as we begin this year. May we receive the confidence that we need to step out to the marketplace. Lord, may you give us the spirit to overcome every fear, every intimidation.